Welcome, everyone. Over my shoulder, you'll see the American flag. We'll start like we always do by saluting the flag. So I'll lead the way. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
United
States
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and
justice
justice
for
for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. Folks that aren't Rotarians, this here may sound a little strange, so pay close attention. Of the things we think, say, and do, number one, is it the
Is it the
truth?
truth?
the truth.
Is it fair to
Fair
all
to all
concerned?
Concern.
Will it
Will
build
build
goodwill and
goodwill
better
and better
friendships?
friendships.
And will be
Is it
beneficial?
Beneficial to all concerned.
That's our Rotary pledge, if you will. A dear friend and real sweet person of our Rotary, Scituate Rotary Club, passed away April 9th. She was struggling with health issues since, I believe, July of last year. And she leaves a wonderful husband, Lambert, and he's over at Linden Ponds. And he's surely got some friends over there for support. We know that. So in your prayers, just keep Lambert in your thoughts. And again, it's a shame to have to report this, but she's in a good place. Matter of fact, I feel she's in a better place because she did suffer for quite some time. So I was going to congratulate Sue Heller on her birthday today, but maybe her ears are burning, and we'll grab her next week for a birthday salute. So without anybody have any questions or concerns before we turn over our meeting to David?
Nope.
No?
We're good.
Yes, Jean. Jean, get your hand up.
Yeah, can I just say a few things?
Please.
I wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight. We want to certainly thank firefighter Dave, as I guess he is affectionately called. I know Dave through Scituate Heritage Days. He comes every year with the Safe House for the kids, where he teaches kids fire safety. And he also does, I forget what it's called, he can tell you, but it's like a real quick type of CPR that we teach people during Heritage Days as well. So Dave has been offering this senior safe class, and Lucille and I ran into him at the safety building when we were delivering the masks that we got for the Million Mask Challenge. And of course, I dragged him right over, and you know Lucille, she's like, who is this? Tell me. And this is how this all came about. So I wanted to thank Dave and thank you for letting me bring him here. And I guess we'll hand it over to Dave now.
So the presentation we're going to go over, this is normally the presentation we do for the seniors. And what it talks about is it revisits fire prevention. So it's basically the same message we give to the children in school. And we talk about different things. And then we talk about fall prevention. And we'll go over everything. And then at the end, we'll talk about what Scituate Fire Department actually does. So we do these programs, and then we offer additional resources. Like we offer smoke detector inspections for free, CO detectors. We do a safe walkthrough of your house. If you have any questions, we can go through your house, and we can talk about like evacuation plans and things like that. The class that they were talking about that I teach at Heritage Days is actually called Hands-Only CPR. So I've been teaching that for probably 5 or 6 years, and Heritage Days was just the perfect place to present that. And so we do that at Heritage Days because I can probably teach maybe 90 people in a day how to do hands-only CPR. So, and if you want to talk about that, we can talk about the benefits of that later on. So this is Remembering When. So it's a fire and fall prevention class, and it's brought to you by the National Fire Protection Association. So we'll go over first a few messages. The first part will be about the fire. So obviously, if any of you smoke or have friends that smoke, the big thing we want to talk about is smoking outside. So one of the biggest causes of house fires is like dropping a cigarette in a couch, people smoking in bed, or just leaving it there and it blowing out of an ashtray. So if you're going to smoke, obviously use a deep, sturdy ashtray. Wet your cigarette butts or ashes before you come in for the night. Obviously, never smoke in bed. And no matter what, never, ever, ever smoke with oxygen. I don't know if any of you know people that have smoked with oxygen. I know growing up, my grandmother, so we're talking in the 70s and 80s, she would have a cigarette in one hand and oxygen in her nose. And I didn't know much about it back then. Now I've actually seen a few people who have caught on fire due to this, and it causes 2nd and 3rd degree burns, and it's pretty serious. So some of the other messages we'll talk about. So if you smoking in the house or you have smoke in your house and your smoke detector goes off, where do you want to meet? So if it's your husband and wife, if your grandkids are over, do you actually have a meeting place, or is somebody going to run out the front door, somebody going to run out the back door? So we teach this with the kids and we bring it back just so when you go out of your house, where are you going to meet? And unfortunately, the other thing you want to think about is how fast can you get out of your house? So if you're in the back of the house and you use a walker or a cane, or you've had surgery or you've been sick, how long is it actually going to take you to get out of your house? So that's just something you want to think about. Space heaters. So space heaters were really big. A lot of people use them because they don't want to turn the heat on in their house. So they just take these tiny little space heaters and they put it in a bedroom and they turn them on. We saw a lot of it in the projects, at least where I grew up in Boston. I didn't live in the projects, but when I worked for the city, we used to see a lot of these in the apartment houses because electricity was free. So they used to throw space heaters. Space heaters can be really, really good, but a lot of them are old. The older ones don't have safeties. And one of the biggest thing people do is you'll see a space heater and they want to move it closer into their bedroom. So they'll plug it into an extension cord and then plug the extension cord into the wall. That is actually the most unsafe thing you can do with a space heater, because the cord for a space heater is rated to take the number of watts that space heater draws. Most extension cords are not rated for that. So unless you have an outdoor extension cord, it's a regular home extension cord will actually catch on fire if you're running a space heater through it. The other things you want to think about is where you put it. Make sure there's nothing within 6 feet of it, front, back, or the sides, because they will combust. So space heaters actually account for 33% of the fires in Massachusetts yearly and 81% of the fire deaths. So one of the other big fires we deal with are kitchen fires. So when you're cooking food, we talk about never leaving the stove. So never leave your food unattended, obviously. We've gone to a few houses lately where people have sat down on the couch and their stove catches on fire because they left something and it boiled out. One of the big things you want to think about is what you wear when you cook. I know everybody likes to wake up in the morning and throw on their bathrobes and their fuzzy slippers and walk out to the kitchen and have their cup of coffee. But if you think about it, those low-hanging bathrobes can easily catch on fire on the stove. Use oven mitts and handles and to hold hot pans. One of the things we actually give away when we're at Heritage Days is it looks like a ruler, and it's actually a puller for your oven. So you put it in, it's got a hook on it, and it's made out of wood. So you can pull out the pans, and then you can push the the oven racks back in. So if we ever get to do Heritage Days again and you get to see my big safety van, come on over, and I make sure I order hundreds of those and we give them away every year. So the other thing you want to talk about is if a pan catches a fire, obviously slide a lid over it. Don't throw water on it if it's got oil, because if you throw water and oil, everybody knows all it's going to do is catch on fire and explode. And don't cook, obviously, if you're tired, drowsy, or on different types of medication. So stop, drop, and roll is something we talk about. This is actually one of my favorite things to teach when I'm in the preschools. We talk about stop, drop, and roll. So just for like kids, I mean, we do it for adults. The only difference is, obviously, you're not going to drop to the ground as fast. So I don't want you to like just lay on the ground, because if you drop to the ground fast, I mean, you could hurt a hip, you could hurt your knee, and then that would prevent you from rolling from side to side. So what you'd want to do is slowly go down to your hands and knees, and then slowly lower yourself down, and then roll back and forth to put the fire out. So you're going to roll 2 times to the right, 2 times to the left. And the new thing we talk about is covering your face. So when you cover your face, when you stop, drop, and roll, it does 2 things. It obviously prevents the fire from catching on your face. And the other thing is it actually protects your airway. So your airway is your most important thing, because if you're not breathing, then there's an issue. So by covering your face, you're not going to get smoke or fire up into your lungs, and it's not going to burn your throat and cause your throat to swell. So for other people, if you know somebody that has a wheelchair or uses a scooter on a regular basis, obviously they can't get out of the wheelchair fast to stop, drop, and roll. They can't get out of the scooter. One of the things you might want to consider is a thick blanket. So always have a thick blanket somewhere where they can grab it. So it would work almost just like a stop, drop, and roll. If you put a thick, heavy, almost like a wool blanket, you wouldn't want a synthetic, because the synthetic would melt, but a wool will actually put out the fire. So you can pat them down with a wool blanket, or they can put the wool blanket themselves over the fire. So smoke alarms, this is a huge thing we deal with on a regular basis. Do we have a question?
Okay.
Oh. So smoke alarms in every house. So if you own a newer house, or a house that's less than 20 years old, all your smoke detectors should be hardwired and with a battery backup. If your house is older than 20 years old, you can have just pure battery operated smoke alarms. So what we recommend, and what the state recommends, is it has to be a smoke alarm on every single floor with a carbon monoxide detector built in. And then we recommend a smoke detector in every single bedroom, or if you have an older Cape house, when you go right up the stairs and you have a bedroom to the left and a bedroom to the right and a bathroom dead center, so long as the smoke detector is within 10 feet of the bedroom doors, they recommend it. Some of the other options they offer is you can get interconnected smoke alarms that, if you're hard of hearing, they can actually put in a bed shaker. So what it can do is that when the smoke detector activates, you'll actually shake your bed, almost like the vibration in your cell phone. And then they do recommend testing your smoke alarms once a month. 1, to make sure you can hear them, and 2, to make sure they work. If they have a battery backup, we recommend every 6 months to change your batteries. So when you change your clocks in your house, change your batteries. Although we don't offer the service, in all honesty, if anybody has a problem getting to their smoke detectors and changing their batteries, I would rather have you call me, and I will make my cell phone or my work phone available, and I'll just come down off duty or even on duty, and we'll get in there and change the batteries, because I certainly don't want somebody up on a ladder that's going to slip and fall and get hurt. And it's a lot quicker for me to come in and change it safely, and that way we know everything's done right. So as we talked about before, escape plans. So you might want to plan your escape plan. When I go to the schools with the younger kids, we actually play a game in the class, and we plan an escape plan for like a restaurant. So if you all go out to eat on a regular basis, how many ways do you know out of the restaurant? So it's like in the classroom, how many ways are there out of a classroom? If you're in your house, how many ways can you get out of your house? Do your doors and windows open? I grew up in the city. Some of you grew up in the city. I mean, in West Roxbury, we had the window, and then we had the cellophane that you would shrink wrap to the window. And then you had somebody that painted the window shut with lead paint. So some of the windows opened, some of them didn't open. So can you get out of your doors, your windows? Do you have something blocking the door where it would make it harder to get out? Are you impaired? Do you need a cane or a walker? So these are all the things you want to consider when you design your own escape plan. And then the last thing you have to remember is once you get out, don't ever go back in. If you have a pet and you're worried about a cat or a dog, animals are actually pretty resilient. They tend to find their own ways out. So once you're out, stay out. And then tell the first responding fire department or personnel, hey, if there's somebody else in there that needs help, let us know where they are and we can go in and help them. So your local emergency number, obviously 911 in the town of Scituate is their local emergency number. If any of you have been up to our new public safety complex, when we put in the dispatch center, we actually have a more advanced 911 system than the state police have at this current time. So if you call 911 from your cell phone, it actually pulls up a map on a screen and it shows where that cell phone is. So if you're lost in the woods and you're 5 miles behind your house and you dial 911, I can find you on the map exactly where you're standing within 5 feet. So it's a really, really good system. So you don't always, like if you're at a friend's house and you dial from your cell phone, that's fine too. It's going to show us what house you're calling from. It's going to show us if you're at the beach. I mean, we get it all the time, I guess, on iPhones and iPads. If you hold the volume and another button at the same time, it dials 911 for you automatically. So like I'm in the dispatch center, every once in a while a jogger will accidentally hit it and you can see them running down the street. I mean, that's how sensitive these systems are. So, and as I said before, the most important thing is getting out of the house and then letting somebody else call 911. So we talked about it, plan your escape around your abilities. So have your telephone in your bedroom if you need to call 911, just in case you're trapped by smoke or fire. And then other things you might want, not just because of a fire thing, but if you're sick and you're in bed, one of the things we show up with, I mean, obviously we run our own ambulance and we run our own paramedics. So a list of your medicine when we show up next to your bed. We also have things that you can pick up at the firehouse. It's called the File of Life, and it hangs on your refrigerator. And so what that is it has all your pertinent information. So when I walk in, if you're unable to speak to me or you're just out of it because of something going on, something medically, we can take your File of Life and it has your doctor's name, your name, date of birth, a list of medicines, and then your past medical history. So things like that are really, really important. So obviously your other items you want, your medicines, your glasses near your bed, your walker, your scooter, your cane. So the next thing we're going to talk a little bit about are preventable falls in adults. So falls are the most common cause of non-fatal injuries and hospital traumas for the elderly. Now that's technically 60 and older is where they put it. In 2010, 2.3 million non-fatal injuries among older adults in emergency departments. More than 662,000 of these patients were hospitalized. So what we're seeing is a fall. So when you're elderly, a fall from a standing height technically is considered a trauma. So anything 6 feet or higher is going to be a trauma. So if you fall and you're 6 feet tall and you hit your head, you're technically a multi-trauma. Now put it on that brittle bones. If you take a blood thinner, an aspirin a day, hypertension, and any past medical history, that's just going to compound the issues. So what we try to do is prevent falls. And we'll go through a few things you can do around the house to obviously prevent falls. And then, as I said before, we offer to come in and help pick out things that you might not have thought would cause a fall. So one of the most important things is regular exercise. A simple walk every day, it's going to build the strength and help you improve your balance. Tai Chi and exercise have been proven to help reduce falls. And ask your doctor. I mean, obviously, we don't want you just all of a sudden say, David Bartolotto said I need to go exercise. So you're going to go out and walk 5 miles a day. Ask your doctor what would be physically best for you and start that way. So start slow. I mean, in all honesty, in January, I started walking, and it's only because I have a dog that wants to make me walk every single day for like 5 to 6 miles a day. So, I mean, I started slow, and I mean, it's great, but I mean, I do almost 5 miles a day now, but at the beginning, I couldn't even do that. So, and obviously when you're getting up, so when you wake up in the morning, when you're getting out of your comfortable chair after watching the Red Sox game, so get out of your chair slowly. So if you think of your heart like an engine, the older the engine gets, the slower it moves sometimes. So if you stand up really fast, you're going to get lightheaded because it's going to take a little while to pump the blood back up to your brain. So if you go slow when you get up, you're less likely to get lightheaded and you're less likely to fall. Before you get out of bed, don't just swing your legs over and stand up. So swing your legs over, sit up, get your balance, let your blood go back up, and then stand up. And then get your balance before you walk. I mean, don't jump out of a chair and run. And then obviously always be aware of your surroundings. So what's around you? If you feel dizzy, is there anything you can grab onto? Things like that. So keep walking areas and stairways clear. I can't stress this enough. I mean, so keep everything away from the top of the stairs and the bottom of the stairs. Don't just put your shoes on the stairs because you think it's quick and easy. Electrical cords, obviously, you don't want to run in front of a staircase. Clothing, don't hang your clothes over by the stairs. Don't even put them on the railing because if you put your hand on your shirt and it's on the railing, you're going to slide down. Books and magazines, other clutter. Although it's not a good story, I do have a story that even last week we had a woman who fell, and she wasn't old. She was only 35 years old, and she went down 55 stairs because she kept her shoes at the top of the staircase. And unfortunately, when we found her, she was inverted face up, and she was pinning the door to the house closed. So we had to go through, like, up to the second story porch, come through that way, and we actually had to cut the door off, pull it out over her head to slide her out. All because she just likes to put her shoes at the top of the stairs. So stairways are a huge, huge problem. We probably transport, on average, 60 people a year that fall down a flight of stairs. And unfortunately, the older you get, the more seriously the injury is when we find you. So what can you do to keep your stairs clean, and who can help you with this? My favorite story is, I remember growing up, we'd go to my grandmother's house in the city all the time. And that was her big thing. She would pay you a quarter to vacuum her stairs and clean her stairs. So I was always the stair guy. So improve lighting around your house. Night lights. I know we all grew up with them. We had them in your room. Now they're a really good thing for your hallways. They have ones that you plug in that work on a sensor. So when the lights go out, these turn on. My house, I actually have lights that have flashlights attached. So it's a flashlight plugged into the wall. And then when the power goes out or the lights go out, it's actually got a built-in night light. So it lights up the hallway. And then I always have a flashlight because I can always see where the night light is, and I know it's a flashlight. Turn on the lights before using your stairs. Obviously, if you're going into the basement, turn on the lights before you walk down. And obviously, if you wear glasses, or even if you don't, part of your physical, it should see an eye specialist. Just so you can see, I mean, if your eyesight's getting worse, you're not going to see things on the ground. You're more likely to trip. And those of you who have motion sensors, please share some things. So if you guys have a motion sensor, I know I have motion sensors in my basement. We actually have them at the firehouse. And sometimes they're really, really good. The biggest problem I find with a motion sensor is they go from 0 to 100. So it's like in the firehouse, the minute you walk out of your door or out of your dormitory, it's pitch black and it's 0 to 100. So it's like all of a sudden somebody's shooting you in the face with a flashlight. There are new motion sensors out there, so they go up in stages. They start at 10%, then they go to 30, then they go to 50, then they go to 80, then they go to 100. It takes about 2 minutes to get through the cycles, but you're less likely to be blinded. So it's actually a really good thing. Non-slip mats in the bathtub. Nothing worse than calling the fire department because you're naked in the bathtub laying on the ground. They do make non-stick mats. We've all seen them. They also have tape you can put down, things like that. As I said, this is one of the services we're trying to expand, that we're trying to offer. Have grab bars installed on the wall. Very easy for a handyman to put in a grab bar. And then wipe up spills immediately. So if you spill water on the floor, throw a towel on it, wipe it up. Because most bathrooms are like a tile or something like that, so they're actually extremely slippery. And then beware of uneven surfaces around your house. So throw rugs are huge. Most houses, when we do a safety walkthrough, that's the one thing we try to get rid of. People that have throw rugs, like runners down their carpet, down their hallways, or just random throw rugs. Because what they do is they'll cause your toe to catch. They catch walkers. They catch canes. They're just really not a good, safe thing to have. The other things you want to consider, depending on how old your house is, every time you go through a doorway, is there a door jamb you're going to trip over? Smooth out wrinkles and folds in your carpeting. So if your carpeting's getting old and start to bunch up, have a carpet guy come in. They can re-stretch it, re-nail it, and so you don't have to worry about it. Beware of uneven sidewalks and pavement outdoors. So now the weather's getting nice. I know last Saturday, Front Street was absolutely insane. It was 65, 70 degrees out. There are hundreds of people walking up and down. And some of those sidewalks are horrible. I know the one in front of CVS gets us at least 5 or 6 falls a year. And then if you can't clear snow and ice from your stairways during the winter, see if somebody else can. I know when I go out, like when we go out in our ambulance or when we go out in the fire truck, we actually shovel hydrants. I know a few of us, if we see somebody out shoveling their driveway and they shouldn't be, we'll stop, we'll help shovel their driveway, we'll clear their stairs for them. If you can have a family friend, a child, just make sure you keep your stairs nice and clean from snow and ice at all times. We talked about stairways. The other thing you want to make sure they're well lit, always from top to bottom, and then a good handrail. So how old is your house? Have you ever like really tested the handrail? Do you think it could hold you? Unfortunately, some of these new houses they're building, these guys just use drywall screws and they hold them up. And it's not what they're made for. I mean, handrail should be sunk in with a good 3-inch screw right through a stud, and make sure they do it right. So well-fitting shoes. I know I can't wear flip-flops because I just trip. I admit it. I'll never wear flip-flops. So low heels. I don't wear heels either. Non-slip soles are the best. So athletic shoes, if you're just walking around. Slippers, make sure they have a rubber bottom. Whenever you go to the hospital, they always get those socks with those little rubber pads on the bottom. It's just to keep you from slipping. So I wouldn't walk around in like big puffy socks, things like that. Anything that you could slip on your floors with. So we'll ask questions now. I'll open up to questions now. But right now, currently, the Scituate Fire Department offers free smoke detectors, as I said, and CO inspections. And in certain situations, we actually install brand new smoke detectors. So if your house is older and it's not hardwired, so if it's just a regular battery operated and you need a new smoke detector, we'll come and install it. So long as you're not installing them because you want to sell the house. Unfortunately, we can't do that. We only get so many smoke detectors a year, and we try to save them for the older houses, for the older people that can't afford it. When we go to people's houses that are sick, that we're taking out in the ambulance, I actually always do a safety walkthrough, and if they need detectors, when they come home, I make contact and I'll install new smoke detectors. We also arrange for free home safety checks. So we check the railings in your house. We look for carpets. We check all the safety things we talked about, trip hazards. And one of the big things we check is actually dryer vents. So it takes, on average, 4 years for a dryer vent to become completely clogged. And I don't know when the last time you cleaned out your dryer vent was, but that's actually the #2 cause of fires in Massachusetts, of dryer fires. It's because the vent's clogged, so it's not allowing the heat to escape. So during the safety check, I would come in, I would look at the dryer vent. If you needed a new hose, we could try and purchase you a new hose and put that on. If we could just clean the hose, we'll just cut the old hose off, clean it, and reinstall it. And one of the last things we're actually trying to get funding for is house numbers. So the state of Massachusetts requires everybody have a 3-inch house number on the front of their house. Well, that's really good during the day. But I mean, if some of you have been to the West End, you have driveways that are a 1/4 mile long. I certainly can't see the house number on the front of your house from a 1/4 mile away. So what we're actually trying to do is put little signposts in front of everybody's house, and it's a blue number, and it lights up whenever car headlights or fire trucks or whatever, whenever the lights hit it, it lights up the house number. So this is one of the things that we're trying to do with our SAFE grant right now. I know there are a few surrounding towns that have done it. Cohasset's done it, Marshfield's done it, and I think Norwell's trying to do it. So this is one of the things we're proposing now. But and the other thing we're trying to do is if we can get funding and somebody that's in need of maybe a handrail going up and down the stairs, we can install handrails. So there are a few things we're trying to get extra funds for, but in a nutshell, that's what we do. So are there any questions? Let me shut off my PowerPoint and I will be open for questions.
All right, I have to unmute everyone. You can unmute yourself now.
I am very impressed with our fire department. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You should read it too. Well, you should read it.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, a question. What type of calls do you respond to most during a day or during a year, or what is the most frequent calls for the fire department?
So actually, our most frequent calls are medicals. So as I said before, we run an ambulance. So we average about 6,000 medical transports a year out of Scituate.
Wow.
So in terms of equipment that you have, is that sort of geared towards that? Or if you have a medical call, you come with a ladder truck or the water truck, or versus something that's faster and probably also more economical?
So what we always do is we always send an ambulance. So our ambulance has 2 paramedics, and every call gets an engine company. So because we have 3 engines, we have an engine in Hammerock, we have an engine on 3A, and then we have an engine on First Parish Road. We always send an engine to the call, 1 for manpower, and 2, in the recent years, technically our engine or our water truck is an ambulance. So it has enough equipment that if the ambulance is delayed for some unknown reason, or there's an out-of-town ambulance, we can begin medical care before the ambulance shows up.
I've always wondered. Yeah.
So sometimes if you call 911, you'll see the ladder truck show up. Like we went to a call Friday night, I was working, and we literally went from a chimney fire. So everybody was dressed in fire gear. We put out the chimney fire at midnight, and right as we got back into our trucks, we had a medical call on the other side of town. So we brought the ambulance, and my ambulance crew, 1 guy was on the ladder truck, so the ladder truck showed up. So sometimes we do show up in fire gear for medical calls, but normally it's because we're coming from a fire call. But in our ambulances, we are all paramedics. So what that allows us to do is anything an emergency room can do in the first 20 minutes, we can actually do in the back of our truck.
Wow.
Scituate Fire Department, when I got on, was the first all paramedic ambulance on the South Shore. So that was 23 years ago. We're the first ones to run paramedics, and we're the first ones to continually add paramedics, and then currently we're the only one that's added a second ambulance besides Marshfield.
Wow.
Is that the same thing true for the police? Are they all paramedics too?
Nope, the police are first responders, so they know CPR and basic first aid.
Okay.
David, you had mentioned about, along with your smoke detector, something that would shake your bed. How would someone get something like that? Where would that be purchased?
So normally it's, there are websites for it. I can get you more information. We do have specific vendors we prefer to deal with. Because just like anything, there are fly-by-night companies that are just trying to make a quick dollar. But we do deal with ones that are special for people that are deaf or hearing impaired. I can get you the information on those people if you want it.
That would be great. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or?
I would have one more question, if I may. Among the fire incidences that you have, with all the fire equipment, smoke detectors and so forth that are in homes now, are fires on average reduced from what they were 10, 20 years ago, fire responses, or how does that sort of statistically correlate to increased safety that you have in houses?
So the fires themselves have not been reduced. Actually, we've seen an increase in the last probably 4 years on fires. In the last year and a half, the fire rate's gone through the roof, and it's because people are at home causing problems and using more electricity and the space heaters. But what it has done is we've seen a lot less deaths. Last year was the first year in 20 years that no child died in a house fire. The year before that, we only had 1. And the year before that, we had 7, but it was 6 were in the same fire.
You're talking Scituate.
No, not Scituate. Scituate, we've had 3 house fire deaths children that have died, but that was almost 27 years ago, I believe.
James Landing.
But
I think so.
we've only had, that I can think of in the last 5 years, we've only had 1 person pass away in a fire.
Wow.
And unfortunately, that house had no working smoke detectors, nothing like that.
So we're impressed with all the help that you give individually to people who need fire detectors, smoke detectors, and if you need safety improvements, that the fire department will actually assist people who cannot do that themselves, mainly the senior community. I didn't realize how interactive the fire department was. It's very comforting. It's very nice to know.
Yeah, we try to help. I actually have a good working relationship with like the visiting nurses too.
Oh, okay.
So I know a few of them personally. So if they go into a house to help somebody that had surgery and they see like a smoke detector hanging from the ceiling or like one sitting on a counter, they will either give them my name or say, could I have somebody contact you? And then that way I can get in. And
Right.
I mean, it's obviously a non-judgmental thing. I'm not there to pass judgment on anybody. I'm just there to put up a smoke detector and make people's lives a lot safer. I mean, that's basically my whole goal.
Yes, it's very good. We thank you. That's a wonderful service that the fire department of Scituate gives.
Another question, Dave, and I'm speaking for myself, really. I don't want to speak for everybody else in the group, but you talk about your hands-only CPR, and unfortunately, during Heritage Days, I'm here, there, and everywhere, so I've never had a chance to learn that. Is that something that you would come out perhaps and teach a group as the Rotary if we were interested in something like that?
I will teach you whatever you want. I will teach you full CPR, hands-only CPR. I'll teach you whatever you want.
Okay.
I'm actually teaching the first week in May. I actually do all the first aid and CPR training for the police too. So.
Okay, so could we, if we as a group decided we wanted to do something like that, could you do it privately just for?
Yeah,
our
I can
group?
do whatever you want.
Okay. Great.
And if it's a hands-only CPR that you want, and nobody wants to be certified, then the class is 100% free.
Mhm.
If people want a CPR card or something, and we need to do a full class, then it would just be the cost of the card. So I believe the cards are like $10.
Okay,
So,
great.
Jean, when you get the information about people hard of hearing,
Yep.
I'd appreciate it if you'd pass it on.
Oh, I will. I'll definitely share it with everyone. Also, you were talking about something in the oven to pull the racks.
yep. Yeah, so it's
I have one of those.
a lot of people have them. It's their favorite thing to get on Heritage Days. So it looks like a wooden ruler.
Mhm.
And
But
yeah. So you know what, Jane, if you get a hold of me, I might have some of them at the firehouse now.
Okay, great.
So you can always swing up. Let me, I'm actually on shift tomorrow. I can check tomorrow and see what I have.
All right. I'll give you a call.
Oh, yeah,
Just text me.
sure.
So anybody else? This was wonderful, David. This was just so
Very good.
informative, and it's just,
thank you very much.
Oh, you're
Thank you.
welcome.
it's
Great
so
job, Lieutenant.
comforting to know
Great job.
what we have available to us. You know, and I don't like to consider myself a
Oh, and there's
senior.
Debbie.
I guess I am now. So hearing all of this is very comforting.
Yeah.
Hello, I want to say thank you. This is Lucille from far away. I can't get the picture going, but I'm listening in, and what a fantastic presentation, David.
Well, thank you.
So much information that is so useful for us. And yeah, we definitely need to think about learning a little bit more, about CPR and all that. But what a fantastic job. Thank you. I wish I was there in person. I wish I was there in video, but I'm not. I'm sorry. But all is well here in Brooklyn, New York.
Good.
That's
Thank
kind of
you
far
so
away.
much. Yeah, it is. It is very far away. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
And
Thanks.
Jean, thank you, and everybody else and Joe for pitching in tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem, Lucille.
Okay.
What are friends for?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Right.
So anybody
you.
else? Any questions, comments?
Well, I'd like to say one thing. Actually, it's two things. First of all, Lieutenant, you made me proud to be a resident of Scituate, and more importantly, feel a lot safer.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
Really appreciate that.
Very good, very good.
definitely.
Well, you have one of the best fire departments on the South Shore. I can definitely say that.
Super.
Wonderful.
Great. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I think if Michael, were you going to say something? It looked like you were.
No, I just really appreciate David's
Oh.
presentation. It was excellent.
Okay. All
It was
right.
great to see Christine Lott there.
Well, if nobody
Yeah.
has any more questions or comments, I guess we can let David go and have his dinner, since I know he rushed in to get here with us tonight.
Yeah.
So thank you, David, and thank you everybody for coming tonight.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much for having me.
We
And I'll-
actually, we recorded this. Seth is on there. You can't see him. He's hiding right now. He's recorded this, and we're going to post this on our Facebook page.
Wonderful.
And I may even send it along to the district, and maybe they'll put it on the district club runner page. So
Absolutely.
I think it'd be very helpful for a lot of people.
Yep.
Extremely so.
Good idea.
Okay?
That'd be great. If we could do, do you have big district meetings? We could do a big district meeting when we can all get back together too.
Wow.
Oh, that'd be fabulous.
That'd be great.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Great.
Wow.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again, David. I look forward. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Gene.
Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
night.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.
Bye-bye.